Hello YouTube, and welcome to FFTCG Authority's unboxing and review of the Final Fantasy TCG Villains and Heroes starter set. So this just came out a few days ago. It's a 2-player starter set, so there's actually 2 decks in here, and the value in this thing is actually pretty insane. There's a lot of scalpers for this. It's actually kind of sold out everywhere. So the only place to really find it is on eBay, but I was finally able to pick it up for a more normal price of $19.99. A lot of the eBay scalpers are currently trying to get $40 for it. I think the MSRP is only maybe $15, but for $15, this is an absolute steal. A lot of the cards in here were spoiled already. There's 8 new starter cards, and this thing is just jam-packed with legends that used to have a lot of value. And we're going to kind of go into the numbers of that later, but here's the front of the box. You have the Emperor and Furion. Those are the starter cards. And as you can see here, it has 2 pre-constructed decks. One is a Villains theme and one is a Heroes theme. They're both 50 cards. And they actually have 2 starter guides in here, so they're really marketing this towards having 2 people buy it together and kind of play each other with it. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy. Alright, so it comes in this kind of plastic container. I hope this is easy to open. What is that? There's like a little piece of wood in there. That's weird. Alright, so let's open this up. Toss one of these starter guides. Let's see what we got here. So you have like a kind of a starter guide for the game. If you're a long-time player of the game, this is obviously not going to be very valuable to you, but it's obviously meant for newer players. I think they're going with the 2-player theme because they want to kind of grow the FFTCG community, and they recognize that not everyone has a local LGS, and they want people to buy and kind of play with their friends. So that's why it comes with 2 starter guides. It's actually a pretty good idea. So we have 2 sealed starter decks in here. And oh god, they actually looked sealed pretty tight. Okay, good, they do open at the top. I don't want to use my trusty scissors on these because it's sealed so tight. So let's go ahead and see if I can open this without damaging any of the cards inside. Ooh, that's actually sealed really tight. Really don't want to damage any of these cards. Wow. Huh. Maybe pull on this thing. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I decided not to subject you guys to watching me fumbling with indestructible packaging and unsticking glued cards. So I decided to be faster if I just did this. So let's go over the villain starters first, which I have nicely organized now for you. So first we have Ultimecia, Golbez, the Emperor, and Garland. This one actually fooled me because the artwork on these 3 guys is so consistent and pretty awesome actually. And then you kind of have this crappy old thing. This guy doesn't look cool at all. But those are the villains, and now let's look at the heroes. We got Furion, Warrior of Light, Cecil, and Y'shtola. So the heroes kind of got screwed because they got 2 of the ugly cards. Now let's look at the decks themselves. I'm just going to run through this deck real quick before I start talking about it, just so you know what's inside. So we have a playset of Fat Chocobos, a playset of Vivis, and these are all legends. Luneth, Red Mage, Black Mage, Selphie, Mutsuki, Brynhilder, Belias, Zana, Arc, Chocobo, more Chocobos, Archer, Echo, Diablos, Wall, and Archer. Some of these might be slightly out of order because I was fumbling around looking for the starters, but should be pretty close. I put the legends in front too to make it easier. Got Shadowlord, full playset of Amon, a full playset of Genesis, which is crazy, Red Mage, Quatar Bashtar, Devout Dr. Sin, Arcanist, I'm not going to try to say that, Shiva, oh Jesus, oh, Coworl, yes, Militezi Coworl, I love that word, Cypher, Duke Goltana, Cannoneer, Adia, Seymour, Odin, and that's it. So now let's talk about the cards themselves, some cool things about it. Now remember, this entire thing was only $20. Right now on TCG Player, this card alone is going for about $6.50. The rest of them are all going for $2.50 each. So let's kind of do the math here. So you have 7 cards at $2.50, and you have a play set of them, by the way. So just one set of them, that's $17.50. And then you have this guy that's going for about $6.50, so what's that, $24? So if you sell these individually, just the starters alone, you're looking at $72. Now, I don't actually think that you'd ever get that pricing, but there are people who are trying to get a hold of these cards, primarily collectors, I'm assuming. And right now, the Heroes and Villains deck is kind of sold out everywhere, kind of hard to get. I assume that'll change, but right now it's mostly being sold by speculators on eBay. So think about that. You buy this deck for $20, and you have $70 worth of starters already. And these are actually solid cards. These are good cards. And then let's talk about the legends you get, because this actually blew my mind. And take the Villains Legends too. So let's look at the value of these cards. Now, here's something to note. Out of every single legend that was put into the starter deck, all of the values of these cards plummeted by almost 50%. And that makes sense because basically this was a reprint, right? Anyone who was looking for these cards basically won the lottery because the prices of them halved, and there's really no reason to even pay those prices because you could get them all in the starter deck. But let's look at this one. I checked TCG Player prices from before this set was released. It was about $9. Now it's hovering around $4.50. But still, even at that price, 3 of these would be worth around $15. The entire deck is $20, so you're still getting great value. Then you have Vivi, about $10 before, now it's about $5. Another $15 worth of cards, even at current prices. Shadowlord, that one's kind of worthless. It's always been cheap. It's like $1. But then you got Amon. That one was worth around $10. Now it's worth around $5. That's another $15 in Legends. And then to top it all off, you get Genesis. This was one of the most sought after players cards until recently. Actually, even now, it was going for about $20 before the release of this set. And now it's kind of dropped down to $10, but think about it. Even at $10, you have 3 of them. That's $30 worth of Legends just from the Genesis. So let's try and do some really quick math here. So that's $15 worth. It's another 15, so $30, maybe $32, that's like nothing. Another 15, and then you have maybe 30. So I wasn't counting. Great memory. So let's see, 45, we'll ignore that, 60, 75. So you have about $75 worth of Legends at the depressed prices. Before it would have been well over that, maybe double, so maybe like $150 worth of Legends. On top of that, you're getting about $70 worth of starters. Now this I think will tank heavily in the near future, so this will probably end up being worth only 10 to 20 bucks at most. But still, the value here is undeniable. And on top of that, that's not even talking about the other 70 to 80 cards you're getting. Or actually, my math is terrible. Probably more like 60 cards. But still, that is tremendous value for a starter deck. I don't think any other game has ever done anything like that. Now, that's terrible news for investors, because now Square Enix has set the precedent that if you're trying to stockpile popular cards, they'll just reprint them and blow up the value. But whatever, who cares? I mean, for the players, it's great. And Final Fantasy TCG is still a growing game. You don't kind of want to price hardcore players out of the game when they realize they can't compete because all the best cards cost too much money. For right now, I think the more important thing is to help the game grow. And I think this was a brilliant idea. Making a 2-player deck where you have actual good cards that they could take to LGSs and compete with, that's gold. Alright, so I just finished sleeving up some of my new cards. I have all of the starters sleeved over here, and I put some of the cards back in the box. And there was one thing I wanted to check for you guys that I noticed during the unboxing that I want to show you right now. So if you're a collector, you actually get a little bit of a bonus here. Now look at these 2 cards. One is from the starter set, and one is from the normal Opus V Wave 1 set. And if you look at them, they look exactly the same, right? And that's because, as far as I can tell, they are. But now let's look at these red mages. Left is the starter set, and right is the regular Opus 1 Wave 2 card. Do you notice anything different? If you said the game category, you'd be right. So if you notice in the starter set reprint, the game category is now on this top bar here, which they switched to in Opus 4, I believe. Whereas in the original, the job bar was right on the the game bar was right on the job bar right here. So as you can tell, these 2 cards are not the same, even though it's a reprint. And that's the kind of thing you have to watch out for. Sometimes when they do these starter kits, they issue reprints of the cards, but they're not exactly the same, so they end up kind of being collector's items. If you already had a bunch of these, you might not know that and just kind of throw this away, even though it is technically a different card. So I believe for anything before Opus 4, all those cards would actually have this same change in the print, so they're actually kind of collector's items. I'm not saying they're very valuable or anything, but just something to keep an eye on. So anyways, I'm going to kind of wrap up my review and unboxing of the starter deck here. I would say this is a tremendous value. If you can get it for anything under $30, I'd buy it right away. Like I said, you're getting almost $150 to $200 worth of starters and legends. And it's my personal advice that if you do get one of these and you can get those prices, to sell it as soon as possible, because I highly anticipate that the value of all of these things will drop tremendously. What normally happens when something like this costs so much less than the actual value of the contents, it'll eventually kind of equalize itself. But the amazing thing here is that even if all the legends drop to just $1 a piece, you're still getting your money's worth out of this. So A++ from Square Enix for this thing, and I hope they come out and I hope they come out with more sets like this in the future. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing video, and have a great day.